Hi, everybody. I'm Sai. I work with the Zoho Sign team here at Zoho, and I work in a product marketing capacity. And I'm so glad to meet you all here at Zoholics UK. It's my first time here, and I know it's been a 2-year wait for us to get on the stage and present to you about what Zoho Sign can do for you and how you can use it to get your agreement signed through cross-border workflows. Let me quickly grab my clicker, and we'll get started. So let me introduce you myself and then the other speaker for this session. I'm Sai, as I said. I work with Zoho Sign, but I also have one of our customers, Nadia Otasevich, who heads legal and HR for Wild Vision, a media company, who will be coming on a little later to talk about how they've implemented Zoho Sign and how it's helped them out. So let's get a quick peek at the agenda, right? Today I'm going to be talking about what doing paperwork means today, what the landscape of it looks like in general, what you can do with Zoho Sign, and how you can make things easier for you on the paperwork front, how we deliver trust across borders. So when I say cross-border agreements, cross-border agreement execution, how do we go about ensuring that your paperwork is good on both sides of the border? And what have we done recently that sets us apart, and how has Wild Vision, our customer, used Zoho Sign to their benefit? And then if you've got time, I can answer your questions, and I hope that'll be productive enough for all of you to learn about Zoho Sign. So I want to start this off on a lighter note. I want to spill some tea. And I know you British like your tea, so we wanted to have some of it spilled today, right? Or at least tea-ish, as I call it. So I want you to maybe take a guess at what this is that you see on your screen. You've got about 3 things that pop up on your screen right now. And let me know if you've got a good one. Any guesses? All right, I don't want to take up a lot of time. So these are basically Google Search Console queries that really helped Zoho Sign get discovered. This is what people look up when they found out about Zoho Sign, but it wasn't really Zoho Sign that they were searching for, right? It's just things that they want to search for that they would rather not spend a lot of energy doing. They wanted to log into their Zoho account, but it just so happens that Zoho Sign is a part of the search query that they would do to find our sign-up page or login page, and it ended up showing them about Zoho Sign, and they ended up just registering for the product and finding out about it. So the point I'm trying to make here is we're not only battling corporate workloads, but human laziness, right? So the inherent laziness that we have in being able to do the smaller, mundane things, and we try to find shortcuts, and that ends up, in some way or the other, help us find solutions. And Zoho Sign is one such serendipitous solution that people glanced upon because they wanted to find a way to log onto their Zoho account. And the further point that I'm trying to drive here is that if people are lazy enough that they want to just Google something rather than typing it out on their address bar, imagine the sheer frustration that they would have in their minds when they find out that they have to get on to doing a lot of paperwork when they reach office, right? That is definitely something that they would need a shortcut for, and that is what Zoho Sign offers. Right? So this is Zoho Sign, and that's kind of how we got discovered, right? So that's the tea that we have on our product, guys. So let's get on with the landscape of paperwork. What does going digital mean today, right? We all lost about 3 good years to the void that we now refer to as the COVID-19 pandemic, and we never quite actually recovered from it, right? Or rather, there is this inherent human laziness that has just grown on even further, and we are battling it every day. This is corporate speak, by the way, that our processes have evolved to basically do things digitally. But like I said, it's inherent human laziness, and it does not quite sit well with the way we do business, right? Today, things are done a lot differently. Businesses are entirely hybrid. There are people sitting and doing their jobs from the comfort of their homes. Then there are people working out of offices. But something to keep in mind is all of them are collaborating in real time, which means they are actively working together, and they need to get things done, which they would otherwise have been doing sitting together in a common desk, right? And most experiences, if not all, are AI and digital first, right? Today, everybody's on their phones, their tablets, and their laptops, and everybody has ChatGPT or something or the other open on the side so they can speak to it and get things done quicker. So these are all fundamental changes in the way we go about doing business, but they start to present more challenges as we uncover them in getting getting business transactions done. One important thing is everybody is now sort of international business. Everybody wants to operate across borders. So that brings with it its own challenges. And if you consider all of these things and then take into consideration the fact that we have paperwork in everything, right? If you're a small business owner, large business owner, multinational enterprise, doesn't matter. You've got paperwork in everything. You've got finance, accounting, administrative operations, legal, HR, sales, marketing, IT operations, vendor management, anything. Like literally every department, every function has paperwork in it, right? So put these two together, that the way we've changed in going about doing our business and paperwork being there everywhere, then you get to the realization that you cannot skip on any of this because businesses run on agreements. And agreements are driven by contracts and other form of formal paperwork. And for you to get all of this done, you need to execute that using signatures and payments, which are hard to collect as it is when people are in the presence of one another. Now imagine them sitting across borders, sitting across different office spaces and homes and so on. That brings with it its risks, right? It brings with its other considerations, like what obligations do you have to execute, how do you render your services, and how would you go about renewing and retaining the relationship with the customer, your partners, and so on. So all of these has inherent challenges, right? It has had challenges earlier when it was manual in itself, and that was just cumbersome and tedious and repetitive. But now, if you're going digital, there's still going to be challenges because you're dealing with 40, 50 different apps today, which means your contracts, your agreements are going to be scattered across workplaces. Your data is not in one. Often it might be in one place, but the way you put it together would be having to collate it across different apps and windows and so on. And you have all of it be, again, repetitive, cumbersome. So anybody that's doing it day in, day out is bound to get worn out at some point, and this can risk making mistakes. This can cause them to make mistakes. They can have lapses in concentration and have oversight. And obviously, it needs to be sensitive to how your customers are interacting with these documents as well. If they're operating from different time zones, then you need to send it across at an appropriate time. You can't just be sending it out in the middle of the night and expect them to turn it around the next morning. So all of it, in general, just adds up, and it has like a snowballing effect where you have concerns of privacy, trust, security, and so on. If you put all of this put together, and taking into account the ability to have it at the end of the day be challenged in court and stand the test of the law, it just presents a very low confidence in the way you go about doing business online, right? And there has to be a proven mechanism, or rather a process that lays out every step of these things that you do in a very clear manner, organizes them on a piece of document that you would be able to produce, capture it, audit it, and as they say, see it, say it, sort it. Yeah, you would want to do that with paperwork as well, right? How do you go about doing that? And that's kind of what we're solving at Zoho. Right? We have a large ecosystem of apps, but we want to understand what are the different challenges that you bring to your table when you want to try and get paperwork done, and we want you to do that with Zoho Sign. So we've always had this approach when it comes to building apps. We want our apps to be interconnected, have the data flow through in a seamless manner so that you solve your real business challenges. And keeping this in mind, we've already had a very strong and powerful communication and document automation suite where you can get documents created, collaborated on, your teams to communicate either both with internal and external stakeholders, and then have these contracts, agreements be executed, and then be acted upon for renewals, risk management, and so on. So that's what we envision, end-to-end agreement management and document automation, but all within a single ecosystem of apps, right? And in this single ecosystem of going about managing all of this, we want to focus on this session specifically with Zoho Sign, where you talk about document execution or contract execution. So I want a quick show of hands. I see if a lot of people are very keen in listening to what I have to say. So I'm hoping some of you will raise your hands to this question. How many of you here pay for a Zoho One subscription? That's a lot of hands. All right. No, don't put your hands down yet. Keep your hands held up. Now, the question is going to change, and I want you to keep your hands up if the next question also applies to you. I mean, the answer to the next question is also yes. How many of you here whose hands are up also pay for DocuSign? Quite a few hands up still. All right. I am so sorry that I have to make this joke at your expense today, but that is your money. Right? So, because Zoho Sign, which essentially does what DocuSign does, is part of Zoho One, and yet you choose to pay for an additional piece of software, and essentially your money is being extracted by people who are smart, right? So that's kind of what we want to try and deliver in terms of what value we can do for you at Zoho. So what you can do with Zoho Sign is essentially everything you can do with DocuSign. You can draft agreements, you can collaborate with stakeholders, you can automate your workflows, you can verify ID so that you can hold your signers accountable. You can even collect payments, and you can have all of this be formalized in an audited process and have your documents be stored, retrieved for auditing, and so on. And this is done in a much easier manner than possibly every other vendor that does it out there, right? We want you to have it be as intuitive as possible, and I will get to why it is as intuitive as possible, because there is no app out there that has only 6 screens, takes you about 5 minutes to learn to use, about 10 more minutes to set up, and then start doing business with, except Zoho Sign. And like I said, the more I talk about it, the more I run you through the product, you'll understand why I say all the things that I'm saying. But it makes e-signatures easy. You can get documents signed online. You can templatize the whole process. Your documents are legally binding. They're completely secure. You can leverage things like generative AI to get this entire process more streamlined and make things more efficient altogether. So again, now I'm going to run you through the product screens, because this is essentially my 2-minute product demo, and you will know that this is all that is there for you to get using Zoho Sign. This is what our dashboard looks like. It's very simple, straightforward. And this is what our e-signature workflow looks like. This is the second screen that we have, where when you add a document on, you can construct a workflow, determine who's going to sign the document, what order they're going to be signing it in, and what capacity would they be signing it in, or would they be approving it, and so on. And then you determine how they would sign it, what language they would be seeing the interface on, and other things like, would you want to authenticate them with OTP, so you want to ensure there's an additional layer of security, and so on. Once that's done, you set the deadline, you set where the document is stored once it's signed. You get to the document, you drag all of your fields of information that the signer would have to fill out, just map it out, and you send it out. You're done. That's literally all that is there to Zoho Sign, guys. It's very simple. It's straightforward, very, very intuitive. You can learn it entirely by just looking at what things say on the thing. And there is not a lot of advanced configuration or setting up required for any basic use cases. Even in the advanced scenarios, it's a one-time setup process of about maybe spending 15 minutes to set it up, and you're done. Right? And all your documents are available within Zoho Sign at all times, and you can filter them. You can go through the documents. You can retrieve them by searching up by the status of signature approvals, by the status of where they are stored, who signed them, and so on. And that's it. You've got your reports that you can generate, your audit trails that you can generate for all the documents that you've gotten signed, documents that you sign, documents that you get approved, and so on. With that, congrats, your 2-minute demo is done. Right? That's basically all that is there to Zoho Sign. It's that simple of an app, but it is just so essential because it gets you a lot of paperwork done from your fingertips. And the beauty of it is that because this is a cloud-based application, it is synchronized over the web across all our platforms that we have apps in. As it is, you can use it from the web browser. You can just use it on any device. That in itself makes it agnostic, platform agnostic, device agnostic. But if you are somebody who wants an app for these things, we do have apps for each of the platforms that we're on. And you can pick things off, you can drop things off when you have to pop out for a coffee by simply just leaving your laptop on your desk and pick up your phone and carry on with what you were doing earlier. Right? It's just that good in terms of real-time synchronization. And of course, a lot of hands went up, and when I said, how many of you use Zoho One here, all of you would be deeply interested because we're deeply integrated across Zoho, right? About 20 different apps integrated with Zoho Sign allows you to generate your documents from within these apps, get these workflows going from within these apps, get the data stored within these apps. That's just how easy it is for you to do the whole process of getting your paperwork done without having to even open an additional tab. Right? But if you are insistent that you want to do it from a third-party ecosystem, you can do that as well. If you have your own app, you want to embed the entire functionality into your own app, you can do that as well. So that's the versatility of this application. It's very flexible for you to use the way you want you to use. Right? But what sets us apart here is our focus on the cross-border compliance and privacy and trust. Right? What we do consciously is we have an entire part of our team dedicated to identifying trust services. These are services that are independent third-party services, verified and accredited by government authorities and international authorities. This way, you have independently verified signatures, independently verified timestamps. You have payment collection, stamp duty collection, blockchain-based timestamping, everything that's state-of-the-art today that you would want to go about in enforcing trust and confidence in the way you do contracts, we have got that on there because of the active integration and partnerships we engage in with these companies, right? Something else that a lot of people might be interested in is, let's say you are not, it's not that you're new to digital signatures, you have your own digital signature, you've had one for probably a decade in the form of a hardware token, and you want to use it. We support that too, because why leave legacy technology behind and only focus on what's new, right? So that is something you can bring into Zoho Sign. You can have your old PFX files. I don't even know how many people here know what PFX files mean, but if you know, good for you, because we support that as well. What this allows you to do is sign all these documents, get them signed across borders with confidence. So if you pop across the border, the channel over to the EU, they would want something called the qualified electronic signatures, because that's just the way they operate. They want every single signer to be identified independently. But in the UK, that isn't quite the mandate, right? So if you want to sign a piece of paper with somebody who's operating out of the EU, you can do that with the regulations here and over there, and the document would be compliant on both sides, and it complies across the different tiers of signature as well. So here's where it gets even better, because we're part of Zoho, we extend the platform security and the privacy that Zoho in itself offers to all our customers, the compliance of with the privacy laws like GDPR, the ability to have your data stored within the borders of the European Union or within the UK, have your data double encrypted because all business data, especially the documents, are sensitive and confidential. All of this is there with a guarantee of 99.9% uptime and your data being always easy to access and recover in case of disasters and so on. Something for the UK is that people operating in the public sector would want assurances as to, hey, the government knows that we exist and they have stamped their approval on the usage of these applications. And that's where the G Cloud comes in, because the government marketplace is something that we are listed on, and our operations in the in the UK is Cyber Essentials certified, which means, again, adds one more layer of assurance in terms of you getting what you pay for and not having a run-in with the law in terms of using this technology at any point in time. So I'm going to be taking you through a small story for the next 5 minutes. I'm just going to, I didn't want to give you like a laundry list of features, so I'm going to put you through like an imaginary exercise to talk you through what's new in Zoho Sign, and then I'm going to bring on Nadia, who's my customer, to talk about how they do it, right? So let's imagine for a second that everybody that's seated here, you're all part of one company, a real estate company, and you act as the middleman helping property owners for both commercial and residential property in leasing out or subletting these properties out and sort of building out a real estate empire, right? And you have a commercial law firm that you also have contracted with you that sort of signs off on these agreements to ensure that your documents and agreements are all in order. And now that you've all put yourself in the shoes of this real estate firm, let's take a look at some common challenges our recent features can help you solve. Right? I'm going to have features that play out on loop on the screen as I shift through them, but if you have questions, feel free to ask me towards the end. Right? The first thing you will need as a real estate firm is a CRM, right? A single source of truth, a data bed. And we have Zoho CRM that can do that for you, depending on your size, if you're enterprise, Zoho CRM. But if you're a small business owner, if you're just a broker of, say, 2 or 3 people, you can use Zoho Begin. Right? Begin is our smaller CRM for SMBs, pipeline management, and basic deal management, and so on. And Zoho Sign basically sits within Begin as well, allowing you to create your documents, send them off for signatures from your dashboard in Begin, from within your deals, and then have that be signed and stored contextually with each of the records inside Begin. Right? Next thing, let's say you have your CRM ready, but you would want to create the documents and send them out for signatures. How would you go about doing that? For that, we have document creation within Zoho Sign, and now we have AI that allows you to create these documents. All you would need to do is just create the go inside Zoho Sign, open up the AI pop-up, and just tell it, hey, draft a lease agreement for me, and make it sort of be compliant with the UK laws. It gives you a standard agreement with the standard clauses, and you can modify it as you need, drop in the fields that you need to put inside the document, and you can send it out for signatures. Right? But once your document is ready, and you're ready to craft the workflow and send it out, you would have your blanks and different fields that you would need to add in. And for that, we have automatic field detection. So we have Zia, our AI, that's smart enough to actually read through the document and identify where the blanks lie, also understand where should a field be, even if there isn't a blank there, and automatically pop in fields for you to assign to these signers and get going. Of course, you can always verify this before you go ahead, but as of now, we've already got a lot of people using this, and this is one of the largest things that they rave about, because a 40-page document with 400 fields, Zia does it in 5 seconds. You would take probably 5 days. Now, moving on, let's say your firm is all ready with the document, the fields added, the template's ready, but now you have a new challenge, right? You're sending out an agreement to one of your property owners, but you don't know the property owners, you just know the broker. The broker has the information of the owners because he likes to operate, likes to not share that information with all of you. So you can send it off to your broker and let the broker determine who it needs to be passed on to for signing. Right? That is something we did not have earlier. Earlier, you needed to know who your document signers have to be for you to send it out. But now, that isn't so much the case. But let's say they do send it over to the property owners. The UK HMLR, the Land and Registry laws, require that any property transactions would also require a witness to sign alongside a signer. And for that, we have e-witnessing. It's one of our new workflow roles, where a signer can nominate a witness who also observes the signature process and signs it. But the catch here is, let's say you don't like the signer adding their own witness. You can instead hard code. You can decide this person is going to be the witness. You just decide. You sign it, they will observe it, and they will sign it after you. You can do that as well. So it's sort of a flexible e-witness workflow that allows you to get things done and have you comply with the land and registry rules. But again, there are challenges that keep coming along as you go. Next step is, say your property owners also sign on, but now your legal has to sign off on this because your attorneys need to ensure that your document is completely legal. I mean, it's completely compliant. This is the terms that they wanted, right? But let's say your law firm has just 2 attorneys, and the attorney that you've been speaking to the entire time has just gone off on their annual vacation. What happens then? Your deal gets stopped in its tracks because they're no longer there available to sign your documents. What do you do then? Instead of adding just them as a signer, you can create a group with the other attorney because they have essentially the same capacity, same authority, so they can sign instead of this person, and the workflow would just move on. So you have signer groups. That way, your deals don't stop in their tracks, and somebody or the other is always there to act on the paperwork. Again, challenge. Next person, imagine the other person is also away. Or rather, you just have one attorney, but the attorney is just not available right now. What would you do? Well, often in all of these firms, you would have paralegal folks, you have executive assistants, you have office secretaries who are authorized to act on behalf of these signatories, right? So they can simply bring those people in as users onto Zoho Sign, designate them as a delegate to whom this document is automatically delegated when they set out of office hours, and the document is still going, right? And all of this, as it happens, you have the audit trail capturing every action of it, every single aspect of it, like it being sent over to a witness, it being sent over to a designated delegate, it being sent over to a group instead of just any one particular signer. All of it is captured. And when you finally send it off, somebody doesn't open their email because they're on their vacation. So what happens? Again, challenge. They don't have access to their email, but you need to have the document signed in a time-sensitive manner for your deals to progress. So you instead send it over to them on WhatsApp. They can open their phones now, and they can just sign it from their phone, right? These are all things that did not exist last year, but they're there now because we've identified so many challenges in going about getting a business to do transactions, and now we've solved them. So this is what it looks like. They get the document on their mobile phone, and then they would go ahead and sign it. But when they're signing the documents, obviously there's going to be questions. The signers often aren't going to be just looking at the terms and conditions. Not everybody is lazy enough that they would scroll all the way down to the terms and conditions, check box, and then go ahead and sign the document, right? They would want to read through every single thing because there is money involved, that this is a real transaction. So they would need assistance in ensuring that the document is in fact what they signed on when they discussed the deal. What they can do is summarize the document, but it's a 40-page document. They don't have the time to do it themselves. So they ask the AI to do it for them. AI can summarize the document, give it in a short, concise summary. They can go through it, and they can sort of be confident, OK, this is what I signed up for, and they can sign it. But if they don't want to summarize it, they want to look for specific information, they can ask AI to extract the specific information. You can actually ask the AI to lay it out. What are the key clauses? What are the key obligations? AI can do all of that for you now, right? And that way, you're able to pick on information that is crucial and then sign off. But again, if you want to drill down even deeper, you have a specific question and this extraction doesn't answer, just ask Zia. Tell Zia, hey, Zia, I'm looking for this particular piece of information, and this is a pretty long document. Could you read the document for me and tell me if there is any mention of this? And Zia will do that for you. That's quite easily how it is done now, right? And if you've gotten that information and you're not happy with the document, now you want to send a comment to the person who sent you the document for signing, saying, hey, I want to highlight this section and say that this requires changing. You can drop that comment now, and they would be able to see that comment and then go ahead and replace the document with an updated version and then have you sign it. All of this brand new and helps you solve so many problems that you would normally run into when you're getting paperwork done. So with that, I'm going to leave this session and hand it over to Nadia, who will present about Wild Vision, her company, and how they use Zoho Sign. Don't want to be taking up too much of your time. Nadia, the stage is yours.